Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Langeministudio as we talk about Dungeons & Dragons and tabletop gaming. All right, everybody, so this is Nathan, or CrazyhermitDM. Joining me today is Brent from Langeministudio. Unfortunately, Kilk's not here again tonight. He was planning on coming, but he got an esports game at the last moment. It is the end of the season, so we're hoping he'll catch us at least by the end of the year, if not the beginning, by the time these episodes come out.
Good luck, Kilk.
Yeah. So we're talking the other night, and we were going to use this for a future episode, but it got pushed up. So we were talking about the the Tyson-Logan Paul fight.
Oh, jeez.
And just how kind of lackluster it was.
Yeah.
On top of that, a lot of people's Netflix were just stuck at 99% loading.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
But I'm kind of glad I actually fell asleep early that night because I was already tired. And then I guess I'll catch the highlights. I was one of the first boxing matches I would watch since like Holyfield was.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's been a while, yeah. And I was at work.
Boxing's never interested in me.
Yeah.
But I wanted, in my mind, it's like, I want to watch Iron Mike kill a YouTuber. But
yeah.
Despite where you stand on it, if you didn't think it was rigged, or you're on the side of things, this Iron Mike is not Iron Mike anymore. He's worn down. Even though I've seen the practice videos or him practicing, and he was a different thing. So
he was a different beast when he was in practice. What we saw in the ring.
I'm a little bit more hesitant to think it was a rigged outcome, but either way, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, he made what, 20 million?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he made 20 million just for showing up and going 8 rounds. Okay, that's more money than I'll make in my lifetime.
And then Paul's claiming that he took it easy. But how does that translate into tabletop gaming for our podcast listener? Simply enough, how many times have you guys been at the table, our listeners, I'm talking to you, and you get to a big battle or you get to a combat, and it's lackluster. It's just for a good comparison, it's just a back and forth boxing match.
Yeah, a game of Irish knockdown.
Yeah. And then it's just like and as Chase mentioned in one of the previous episodes, it's like stereotypically D&D combat is just a back to forth front line fight, and it really shouldn't. If you're really, if you're a novice like dungeon master or game master or intermediate, then yeah, that knowing the nuances of combat. But me and Brent here want to talk about ways to up your combat. That way you don't have your own Netflix fiasco at your table.
You already have an advantage because if you're playing in person, you don't got to worry about buffering or connection issues.
Unless you guys are playing online.
And if you're playing online, then that's a different story. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's the only part that ever sucks about playing online that gets to me is like when you say, I can't make D&D tonight, I don't have internet. That's just like for somebody that's played for almost 2 decades, it's just such a mind-boggling statement to me.
Yeah.
I've always played in person minus like maybe 6 sessions during COVID.
Yeah. I've never played online.
I'd like to do live plays or whatever with Call of Cthulhu just because it is theater of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what that is, for shameless self-promotion, that is once our Patreon starts getting more up and we start getting some paying members, that is one of the benefits of being a Patreon member is once a month you'd be part of a online game. Right. That will not be recorded, but we'll play for you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Brent is more than willing to join
I'm down.
through his phone.
I'm down.
And he can even just play from his own home with his phone. But let's the first thing like you and me were talking about, because we were mentioning this and we were going back and forth. It's like, okay, so how do we not script our podcast, but at least bullet point it to kind of organize our thoughts. The first point that I think you brought up was adding more narrative flavor to the battles.
Mm-hmm.
Being descriptive with combat. If you, instead of saying, you hit dealing 7 damage, you mentioned the arrow that whizzes by your...
Yeah.
Or I mentioned that reminded me at the end of Lord of the Rings that the arrow goes whizzing, you literally hear the arrow in Boromir's getting a bunch of arrows
for near misses, having that to where you feel the wind or you hear the arrow go by. For really big misses, just you don't even you can. There's ways to describe hits and misses, and even if it's like a fighter, one of the big things is if they miss, they can still hit, but it just skitters off your armor.
And I've done that with our own like home games. It's like you take the hit, it just doesn't do anything. Or
you feel it hit you, but your shoulder plate deflects.
How many times with Merrick have I said this person shoots whatever, and I go, you feel it go by your head?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or when it's really like a bad one, I go, you hear it just like go, like they throw a dagger or an arrow. I go, you hear it go clittering along the dungeon wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just like ricochets.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's more than just miss. Okay, player B, roll your attack. Hit, roll your damage. 12 damage. Okay, player C, your turn. Come on, that's boring. Spice it up.
One of the ways Mercer did that, and I've kind of, for the Mercer effect, all those sort of people that kind of are naysayers, but one thing Mercer did do that I've like adapted to my toolbox as a game master is when they deliver that final blow, how do you want to do it?
How do you want to do it? Yep.
And that adds so much agency to people. And we've had
does. Like my favorite line that he would do is describe when people got hit. He would really like ham up like people's shoulders just got destroyed in his games.
Yeah.
You take the hit on the shoulder, like that's like the 18th time this guy's been hit in the shoulder. Come on, give his ACL a rest.
The guy has no ligaments whatsoever left after this.
Yeah, he's done. But that's what magic is for. You can heal it. It's all good.
Yeah, and unless your players are saying it's like, hey, I'm going to incapacitate this person, there's no reason why you shouldn't like go for all the gusto.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Unless like, you're talking to your player session 0, it's like, I don't want gore described in so much detail because it makes me like queasy.
Yeah.
Sam's that way with,
okay.
She's like, she don't want like gory things or like surgical things like described or.
Oh, okay.
It makes her actually queasy.
Like the body horror type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Do you remember back in the early 2000s, like they redid Frankenstein, and my best friend growing up, we were watching that, and there was a scene to where it wasn't the one with the guy that played Two-Face. It wasn't him.
Oh, Tommy Lee?
No, the
Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart. Yeah, it wasn't the one with him. It was before that.
Okay.
To where it was a Frankenstein. The monster looked like a monster. He is like very pale. He looked like a stitched together version of like Fester, but like huge.
Was that the Robert De Niro one? Maybe
it may have been. I don't remember.
There's like one that kind of didn't get as much popularity with Robert De Niro. They, for some reason, like one of the last scenes is the Arctic, I think, and he gets like punched into the water.
It was that one. Yeah. Okay. To where this one scene to where the monster like punches a dude in the chest and like caves in his chest, like this chest plate, and like rips the guy's heart out of his body. And I was like, oh, dang. And like a minute later, I look over and like my best friend is passed out because of blood, like the blood or whatever. It just really? it like messed with him or whatever. And we were like, oh my God. So we stopped the movie and like got him like, are you okay? He was like, yeah, what happened? We're like, dude, you passed out. I mean, he was like pale. He was like clammy. We're like, are you okay? So I don't know if it was like a blood sugar issue or if it was like what, but he was like, yeah, that kind of got to me. Like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I finished with later that night and I was like, okay, yeah, it was kind of a miss movie. But yeah, like, so yeah, I get the, sometimes blood or whatever kind of does mess with people.
Yeah. The other thing you can use is like environmental interactions to kind of make it a little bit more just not you're fighting in a field, literally.
This is one of the things that I really like doing. Yeah.
You can use cliffs, or if you're like in an urban setting, you can have the archers up on the rooftops, which is
the elevation plays a thing. You did that with the Nagpaw fight earlier in the campaign, to where the Nagpaw was up on a cliff, and I'm sitting there with my paladin going, what do I do?
And that's the whole reason I did it, is just basically make her have a shootout with the backline. Mm-hmm. Why you fought that gray renderer in the front.
Yep.
And he just like mauled you.
Yeah, he did. He definitely rendered me. So yeah, use the environment, and if you get some of those high level players, you can even change the environment to where, say you're fighting in a city or a ruin, you could actually have your warlock say, instead of attacking this person, I use my Eldritch Blast and I hit this pillar, and it knocks a pillar over and it creates cover, or it falls on somebody, to where instead of dealing damage to one thing, you can deal damage to a couple.
And by doing that, it just kind of adds that little extra, and it not only adds flavor, but just like adds another obstacle.
Yeah, another obstacle could create some difficult terrain or some cover or whatever. Really kind of changes the tactics up a little bit and changes the battlefield.
I mean, and if you're an archer or, you know, even a crossbow guy, it's going to be like that Call of Duty type thing where you peek out, shoot, and take cover again. You ain't going to lean yourself standing in the middle of the road.
Yeah, you're not just stand out in the open.
Reload and
like that's how people
you're not Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that I've done that is like thematically is like describing damage types, status conditions.
Yep.
Poison effectively, it has no effect on Merrick, but at the beginning of the campaign it did. It's like you feel like this burn sink into you. Roll a con check.
Oh yeah, like acid, you can feel like your flesh sizzle a little bit when it hits you, or you know, your nerves light up because you're on fire now. Or, you know, there's different ways to describe elemental damage.
The fire wasps. Because they had poison and fire. Well, you're immune to poison, but you're not immune to fire. So like so they sting you, and I go, you just feel that burn go into your system. You're able to like resist the poison, but it burns. You're a tiefling, and you're used to the heat anyways. But man,
this is a different
for anyone that's had any sort of health issues and had like a CT or an MRI, and they do that contrast in your system, or you feel the heat go into your body like that.
Oh God. Ugh. Yeah. That just brought back some PTSD. Thanks.
No problem. But that's the reaction not to bring up PTSD, but that's the reaction you're trying to get.
You're going to get that visceral reaction to where, okay, I now know what that feels like, instead of sitting here watching a movie and going, oh, wow, that sucks. You actually go, oh, I know what that feels like. Yeah.
And you're just sitting there, it's like, oh, my poor character. You're more invested now because, oh, my character's feeling that. Oh, that sucks because I know what that feels like. I know an inkling of what that feels like.
Yeah, and then so ratchet that up to like a 7 or a 10 sometimes, especially if it's Dragonfire.
Yeah. But like for like anyone that's listening, what's like the most creative way you guys think that like your DMs kind of ever like used environment in a combat? I'd be interested to hear like in your comments below, or if you guys share this or comment, or even send me an inbox message on like my Instagram or any of my socials. But make sure to comment down below on especially the YouTube or the Spotify, just because it helps our engagement.
But that would be interesting, because we just know like pretty much the past like decades it's been you and I playing together pretty much. But yeah, like just get someone else's perspective, because a lot of times we just use like what we see to describe things, but I like to get that more, you know, details. Like, what do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? Like when someone gets stabbed and gets poisoned, you can you taste like that acidic taste in the back of your throat or whatever, something like that. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see like if there's different ways to describe physical reactions to things like that.
Just because like in our first campaign, we had 2 players, our bard and our draconic sorceress. I knew they had problems with things touching their collarbones, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
And there'd be there'd be so many fights where our Eldritch Knight would just cleave into somebody. I go, you just cleave right into their collarbone.
Oh my God.
And then you just see both these players just like crumple up.
Yeah, they do like an actual physical, like almost fetal position. Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot that.
Because I knew it was a button.
because you knew that's. So yeah, when you know your players like that, get to know your players, you can start to tap into stuff like that. I think you took a little bit
I did take
too much glee in that.
I tapped that button twice, and maybe if we had those like deck of player safeties, that collarbone thing would probably be there, on one of their things. But
if you want to get Tove to have a reaction like that, feet. She is not a foot person. Like we'll be
neither was our draconic sorceress.
Yeah. So we'll be sitting around the house, and I'll go and I'll poke her in the side with my foot, and she will like slap me and like say, "Knock it off." Like, oh, okay, too far.
Let me write that down. Anyways,
yeah, exactly.
Because we are going back into we're now our group's leaving Moose behind, but you will find out in future session or episodes about all that storyline. We'll get back to our we're kind of talking like Lord of the Rings before with like cinematic combat techniques on point. I think on our second kind of point that I was talking about, because we talked, one of our previous episodes was using pop culture.
Oh yeah,
I believe in session 0. A good way to kind of get to know your players, especially if you don't know them, is ask them, what movies do you like? Or what action movies, or what movies do you like that, you know, might be like I can use to reference for this particular thing. It's like, do you like Goonies? Okay, then I can use Goonies. Or do you like Lord of the Rings? Oh, I can make Lord of the Rings reference.
We can do that.
We've made plenty of those over this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Chase has, for one, pointed out something I never knew was a thing. It's like, Legolas only says 2 things.
Yeah, 2 things. Yeah, you have my bow, and...
I sent something over the Discord just like about a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, he only talks like twice. To like...
He yells at Frodo something.
And it's just like a quick like 2 words or something.
And then there's another part where when they're all coming into Frodo's room at the end of the thing, and then Frodo, Legolas comes in and like Frodo has like this like puzzled look on his face, like, who's this?
Yeah, Dory was like, Sam, Pippin, Gandalf, an elf. Yeah, Dory's just like, yeah, he was there.
Or that's like that guy.
Yeah, I forget
that coworker you've worked with for years, but I don't know your name.
You? How's it going?
That's a Seinfeld episode, too.
Yep. The thing is, at work, that was me all the time. I'll go walking down the hallway, and like some guy that I've never seen before, at least I swear I've never seen before, will walk by and he'll look and go, oh, hey, Brent. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I have no clue who you are. How do you know who I am? Who are you?
I drove my hearse to work for Halloween, and there's like 3 people that, oh yeah, I've always seen you, I just didn't know who you were. And I've worked there for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because they worked on the opposite side of the room, basically.
Yeah,
that
we have like almost no reason to run into each other, yeah.
And then now we know each other and all that. And then one of the ladies the other day just like we were walking by, and there's like a stray cat in the parking lot, and I was trying to help one of the coworkers with it. And she's just like, oh yeah, you like cats too and all that. And I just like looked at her and like, I've never told you that. You just learned my name the other day.
Yeah, what?
It's like, who talks about me?
Yeah. Who spilled my secrets? I gotta silence them.
But when you use like the cinematic like references and the techniques that kind of engage with your players, it allows the players to kind of you could allow. I am more than apt to, like, if you guys are rolling initiative and there's one particular person, it's like, we all hold our positions till this person goes.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than, that is a legit rules as written thing that you guys can do.
Yeah, you can hold your action, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a way, like, if you hold your position or if you hold that, it basically rearranges you in the initiative order, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
I cannot remember what it is. Comment down below. I'll keep doing the stereotypical social media guy thing. Like, comment down below and tell me what that rule is, because I'm going to...
We're in the brain fart right now, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to forget it as soon as we're done recording.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can do, like, action beats, like, set up the early stakes, like, set up a stakes for the combat. With one of our big final boss fights that you guys will start learning about here soon, it happened literally on a rotating piece of stone in a volcanic chamber. And thankfully there was things that happened that prevented it from happening, but everything that was on that platform had the ability to fling the players off.
I was so when we saw that and when you started describing everything, and I was going, wait, we're on a giant floating slab and it's above, and like I was legitimately like, okay, this thing's gonna like kick me, or someone's gonna get pushed off the edge. It's going to happen.
And those pillars had the chains that would have grabbed and whipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thankfully, most of us did a really good job of avoiding it. Right, well, we'll talk about the session recap at a different time. But yeah, luckily, we had that shield up.
Yeah.
That saved us and kind of stopped that from happening.
That added a ratcheted tension.
Yeah, it did, because I was really worried about those the entire fight. Yeah.
Because they were just pillars, unless you guys took time to blast the pillars, but there's things spawning in. There's a big final boss there.
Yeah.
You guys had to really strategize an action economy.
Did we want to waste an action or 2 or 3 to take out one of these pillars that's not kind of an active threat right now?
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
Or do we just focus on the main threat?
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah.
So, and that adds a level of complexity.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is one thing I've done multiple times throughout our previous campaign that we've talked about multiple times on the podcast, is introducing a mid-battle twist.
Oh, you and your reinforcements.
I am one of the... say what you will about D&D Revised 6e 5.5, whatever you guys want to call it, because there's people are calling it all sorts of things. I think the official thing is revised, but
it's revised.
Everybody's calling it different things online. But they brought back Bloodied from 4th edition. They brought back, and it's a good midway twist of like, okay, this monster has 150 HP. It gets down to 75 HP. It is now bloodied. That is a signal the monster's half down.
Mm-hmm.
One, it introduces, it's like, okay, we're making progress. This isn't just an endless slog.
Yeah, it gives the players that milepost of we're actually making progress. We're getting there, it's not just tanking all our hits and shrugging.
All right, but that brings hope to the players on that side of the screen.
Yep,
for my Game Master viewers, for if you're running an orc, or if you're running some sort of berserker,
yep,
or anything like that, when they become bloodied, that's when they unlock some new abilities.
Yeah, because I know that it was an ability for the barbarians, like for the players, not just rage, but frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of use the same thing. Once they go from, like, if you're playing an orc barbarian, they're raging. Oh, they're bloodied. They now go into a frenzy, or they go into a bloodlust, or they go into whatever. And now they gain resistance to damage because they're ignoring it or whatever.
You guys didn't have to deal with it, but I've had a lindworm or a dragon fight where it goes halfway down, trigger, it uses breath weapon just automatically. Or it casts a big fiery wave out if it's a fire elemental. That actually happened in the Elder Fire Elemental fight. Got down halfway. Okay, everyone within 60 feet make a dex check because a giant wave of fire goes out for 50 feet.
Yep.
Because it's just like its form changed and it's now a little bit more unstable because it's halfway through.
And Bloody is a good time to do one of those. In my opinion, it's a better way to use a legendary action, in my opinion. I'm one of the people that kind of like and dislike legendary actions. I get the whole action economy thing. I totally get it. But they feel kind of cheap to me. But for some reason, a legendary action or a big action on Bloodied doesn't bug me as much.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, where Bloodied is a good time to do one of those big moves. And yeah, kind of like in video games, have it do a form change. It does that. It changes its weapon stance. It does something.
They introduced in the Mythic Oddities book for Theros, and then in Rime of the Frost Maiden. Spoiler alert for anyone that's playing that adventure path. I'm sorry, but when you get the Ice Maiden halfway down or to a certain point, she changes form.
Yeah.
Or literally video game form. You get the health bar down to that. Oh, health bar goes back up, different color. It changes form. Oh, it's second form.
God of War fighting Thor. It has 3 different phases where you get his life bar down to 0. Huge cinematic things happens. Battlefield changes. Life bar refills. Oh, I got so irritated by the time that third fight came around. I was like, will you just die?
That is also something I recommend. If you're going to do basically a video game version of health bar reset, do it once.
Do it once.
Don't do it 2 or 3 times.
Because then
it just, unless it's like has a really low amount of HP or something. But if it has a big health bar, like a couple hundred HP, do not do 2 to 3 times.
And I think you could get away with it if your players know it's coming.
Yes.
Like if you've hinted at it through narrative with like if they've done really good on their research.
Good point.
Knowledge checks, whatever. If they have found, okay, they've got special abilities to where they can recover hit points, kind of heavily hint that this could happen. Maybe even have like a mini boss be able to do it once.
This is Dragon Ball Z type Frieza enemy where it's, or Cell where they have multiple final forms.
Multiple forms, yeah. Heavily hint at it, but don't overuse it, because then that just like the first time it does it could be like one of those like holy cow moments and be really neat, but if it keeps happening, now you're going back to it doesn't matter because they're just going to change forms again.
Hey tabletop gamers, thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.